Okay, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at 9:07. We do a quick roll call. Mohina Tudor, Environmental Council, Chair of the Rules Committee.
And you need to say whether or not anybody is present in the room with you.
Sorry, nobody is present with me right now.
Onauna Thone, no one's present with me.
Don Terry, here solo.
Dawn Hecker Norblum, solo as well. Nobody's here with me in the car.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. And we have Les, but I'm not sure where he went. But
oh, I'm here, but no one's here with me.
Okay. Thank you, Les. So first off, I think I need to apologize that it's taking me so long to reconvene our committee meeting. I'm so sorry. I've just been so busy, and one kid's out of school and the other kid's out of school. So it's taking me a while to get back to this. And I have to apologize too for not sending Jody's feedback on the last round of our proposed amendments to the rules. So I think I went through them, and I think we can just kind of talk through them if that's okay. And it's been, quite the process. We went through various reviews since we last met about this. We had Andrew look at it, and then Brian Yee, and then Jody finally got a chance to check it out. So kind of picking up where we left off, we did some minor cleanup, as you guys can remember, some changes to modernize the process. And I think we discussed doing a rationale doc once we get through this process. So if it's okay with everybody, just kind of dive in to some of Jody's feedback on our amendments. Does that sound good? Okay, yeah. Cool. So pretty brief actually. So let's see, our primary concerns were one, that we want to ensure that we align with OP, right? So Jody's feedback on that was basically that she doesn't see kind of any rules for OP, though there are rules for DBED. She doesn't think we need to align since our rules would trump, their rules, because our rules are more specific to what we do as a council. So yeah, that's kind of her answer in a nutshell when it comes to that. So that was one big point we were kind of looking for clarification on. Are there any questions about that at all? No?
That's good.
Okay, yeah, that was a relief.
Yeah.
The next big thing that we were wondering about, and that we needed someone out from the AG, was whether we retain rulemaking authority. And from Jody's feedback, she says she doesn't see anything that would prohibit us from doing that, from keeping that in the rules. Does anybody have any thoughts about that? I mean,
yeah, I kind of disagree. I mean, my understanding from the way the bill was that the council itself does not retain rulemaking authority. That OP has rulemaking, but they need to consult with us, if I recall the language of HB 1318. So, and I know Mary Alice had previously, I think, of course, mentioned that, she'd want probably the council to take, we would be lead in any rulemaking, right, for 343 and our procedural rules. But I think the ultimate body that actually promulgates the rules is not the council.
okay.
Right. So I think in process, it'll probably be basically the same, but we're not actually the body that has the authority to make the rules, which is kind of weird.
That seems like a very critical question that we should clarify and get an AG opinion on, because our AG has said the opposite.
Yeah.
I kind of trust you. Oh, now let's get a definitive answer on that, because if we ever do have to engage in rulemaking again, we need to know who's, under what authority and who's doing it and that kind of thing.
Right.
So our question was, right, whether we have the authority to do it or whether we're advising on OP doing it, right? Was that?
Well, yeah, I think it's that, and then it's formatting wise, right? I mean, when we go out to the public and just letting people know who's the ultimate body who's doing this. I think that should be clear, right? Sorry, I'm pulling up HB bill right
Yeah.
now.
And I think,
We-
just from a regulatory standpoint and working for departments, the lawyer for Department of Health, and then you have a lawyer for Office of Planning. I don't know if it's the same AG, but,
No.
they should probably talk to each other and verify the understanding, because if Ron's saying one lawyer is saying one thing and another lawyer is saying another thing, I think it needs to be clarified for sure.
Well, the lawyer I'm referring to is Onauna. Department of Health is
Well, not
out.
right.
They're
That's
out.
it. Sorry, if you guys take a look at HB 1318, it's on page 28 of the bill. So section 343-6 of the HRS was revised to say, after consultation with the affected agencies and the Environmental Council, the Office of Planning shall adopt, amend, or repeal necessary rules. And then
Okay.
they actually crossed out the council, because they used to say the council shall adopt rules, right? So I think we technically don't have authority to adopt rules anymore, but we are a necessary party to be consulted. I think in reality, the way it's going to work out is, again, OP doesn't, previous to this, that wasn't the authority on 343 rulemaking. So I think the way it will practically work is that really the council still kind of drives the bus, but it's actually OP who is the body adopting the rules. So it's an added, I think it's an added layer. We'll probably have to come up with some kind of process, to, prep the rules, vote to make a recommendation to OP, and then ultimately it's up to OP to adopt the rules, right?
Well, procedurally, it's important too, because we had the most cumbersome possible way to adopt the rules, and that's every single tiny decision had to be made in sunshine.
Right.
And if there's some way to do all the public input in sunshine but produce a recommendation that's voted on in sunshine, but then to have the final nitpicking part done by a non-sunshine body, like it's done for every other agency, that would be great.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's something we can really coordinate with OP SD, right? Since they actually have the staff for it. Mhm.
Okay.
Thank you everyone for that. I'm taking notes and yeah, then we'll get clarification on that point. That's really important. So the next thing that I have in my notes was we were wondering under 11-201-17, let's see, the rules as they stand now requires the council within 60 days after the filing of a petition for rulemaking to either deny the petition or initiate rulemaking proceedings. And we wanted to change it to, oh wait, it was 30 days and we wanted to change it to 60, sorry. Jody said we have to change it back to 30 days because it's statutory under HRS 91.6. So I want to let everyone know about that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. The next kind of big point that we had a question about was whether there would be any reason for us to appoint a hearing officer if we no longer do appeals. So we had a question because there's a bunch of points in the rules where they, mention appointing a hearing officer. And both Brian and Jody couldn't think of any situation where we would need to. Are there any thoughts on that?
I think that's right. I mean, for the declaratory rulings, right? That's not hearing, that's just us reviewing. Okay. Yeah, then that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Okay. if that's the case, do you think we should, one of our next steps would be going through the rules to clean up any mentions of a hearing officer?
Yeah, I think that's appropriate.
We need to vote on that, or it's the discussion's okay right now, right?
I guess my recommended procedure, open to your folks' thoughts, is, we kind of talk about this now. We're going through the AG's edits, and then maybe on the next one, in the meantime, you can circulate it to the group, and or if you want to just, based on today's discussion, make further edits, and then we can actually publish that with the next agenda, so we can go ahead and look at it. And then I think that would be an appropriate time to vote to make a recommendation to the council. Or
Perfect. Thank you for that, Onana.
Mhm.
And then, so that was pretty clear. I think well, in addition to the first issue that we talked about, rulemaking authority, I think one of the biggest remaining issues is, looking for clarification on our authority to do deck rulings. I asked that in the last draft, but did not get an answer on that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's one we would want the AG to opine on as well.
Okay.
Okay, and Jody says she won't be able to join because she has a 9:30 legislative hearing.
Oh, shucks. Okay.
Oh,
email
Len.
her.
Yeah.
And that honestly was kind of it. Our other changes, the various AGs who have reviewed this over time didn't really have any feedback on. We added the court reporters, the section on that. We did some cleanup around submitting electronic copies and but also keeping it vague where people could submit hard copies if that was more convenient, or what they're more accustomed to. And that was kind of, that was kind of it, actually.
Well, when do you think we should, do the current deficiencies rise to the level of a need to undertake another rule change fairly soon?
Well, I think the idea with the procedural rules is that we wanted to make sure that, because there's sections providing that folks can appeal to the council and that type of thing. And we didn't want, there conceivably somebody could say, well, okay, maybe the statute doesn't allow you to do that, but your rules say that you have to do this, right? So I think the urgency, it's been a year, almost a year since, we've moved to OP. I don't know that we need to go into, it's probably won't be as big as an effort. I don't think we need to do, hearings
Right.
island, that kind of thing. It's just procedural rules, but I think we should get the procedural stuff cleaned up, just so that, on the off chance somebody tries to come to us and say, actually you can't hear appeals, and then we have this issue where we'll have to, we might have to litigate it, right? Hopefully not, but it would be better just to, we've already done the work. I don't think it'll take too much to kind of clean up the last remaining issues. And then we can ask, I think then we would turn it over to OP staff and ask them to do the process of, requesting that the notice of hearing be put out to the public. So there'll be one public hearing, right? Comments will be taken in, and then it'll kind of go from there.
When you
Right.
say OP staff, is that less like ERP staff or OP staff?
I don't know if it'll be ERP staff or I think we should talk to Mary Alice, number one.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something to ask Mahina at the meeting today as part of your presentation of what we discussed, that there's a question on, now that we don't do the actual rulemaking, how do we proceed, and what does Mary Alice conceive? Because I recall in a previous conversation with her, I think they have staff that kind of does rulemaking generally, but I may have misheard. This was a long time ago. This is when we kind of first came on, but it's worth clarifying just who exactly would prep that notice, is it council? Is it, is it ERP? Good point. Or
Mhm.
are there just, folks within OPSC that, are very familiar with rules and they have all of that together and they can assist?
Yeah, any templates or anything that's, available would be very helpful.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Cause I don't know if we did it, Mahina, too, like the title, right? HAR title, like that needs to be changed from Department of Health to Office of Planning and Sustainable Development, those kind of cleanup consistency things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah, it would be weird if now we are making the rules, but we can't actually make the rules, and then we.
Right. Yeah, we just want to make sure that once we do them, they're done properly. The amendments and all that, whatever notices need to go out are done properly, and then we'll have to do. I mean, at the minimum for the 11-200.1, the title pages need to be changed, right? I mean that's at minimum, and I think it might not be 11-200 anymore, whatever OPSD is, right? I can't, is it 15, I think, is DBED?
Yep, yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, so it'd be 15-200 and 15-200.1. Or I don't know if they change it with a 0.2 or how that works, right? That'll really screw everybody up who's been
That
citing.
really will.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I was like, oh my gosh, it's a small thing, but not really when you like have memorized the rules and you cite to them frequently. So every
Every
EA,
exemption list, every EA, every EIS, every exemption.
Oh gosh.
Well, I think the counties aren't even still doing this, the updated rules on their websites either and the forms. So that's still probably catch up then.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, for every
Mhm.
agency who refers to it, they're gonna have to, they're gonna hate us even more.
Well, maybe that's
Well,
something we present if we go to HCPO, as a
Yeah.
question and answer or something, because everybody will be there if it's in person.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a good idea. Just
Yeah.
Don, you could do a talk and you could say all the number changes. So this one's gonna change from this to that
oh God.
for
No.
15
Ron,
minutes.
I didn't even remember you're on the committee, so I'm not quite sure I'm the person to do that for numbers and, and names. But yeah, I do think that any opportunity to address any of the agencies on a whole is a good idea.
Mhm.
And September is a long way away, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Only
I mean,
January.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, that's would be a great way to do it, Don. It's a good suggestion. And then Ron, I mean, I guess you'll have to, as our fillers exemptions leader, go back and tell everybody, like, remember all those lists we just concurred with? You need to change it from 11 to 15.
Yeah, I'm quitting before I do that. So.
No.
I wonder if there's some way, and I don't know, Mahina, can you maybe take notes on this so we can ask, but especially for the exemption list, right? We went through this long process with these agencies. I mean, can we just administratively go in and change their lists? Assuming the sections stay the same, it's just the title number, right? I mean, to really alleviate things on the agencies and say, hey, we're gonna, change this. I don't know, but it's a good point. I mean, shoot, or do we just leave all our roles under Department of Health? That's the other question. I mean, to pose.
Yeah, is there some precedent to this? Has there been some agency move from one department to another, and did their administrative rules, were they required to keep up in terms of the title?
Because specifically, I believe in HB 1318, I know we addressed this issue of the rules remaining valid. And let me see if I can find the language. While we transition, let me find the language, because I think okay, here. So all rules, policies, procedures, guidelines, and other materials adopted or developed by the Department of Health, Environmental Council, or Office of Environmental Quality Control to implement provisions of the HRS that are reenacted or made applicable to the Office of Planning by this Act shall remain in full force and effect until amended or repealed by the Office of Planning pursuant to HRS Chapter 91. in the interim, every reference to the Department of Health, Environmental Council Office in those rules, policies, procedure guide, and other material shall refer to the Office of Planning. Okay, so technically, until the rules are amended, they're valid under as they are. And so, okay, let me back up. Mahina, can you pose to the AG to review HB 1318 or whatever it is, acts whatever it was, section 21,
Mhm.
to give us an opinion on this specific issue about changing the numbers, and by like, for example, by amending our rules now to clean up all the appeals and stuff, does that mean it automatically needs to be reenacted or repromulgated by OP? I think it does, but I think the AG should provide an opinion on that.
Mhm.
And part B of that is, you know, can we just keep the DOH title numbers? Is there an issue? Yeah. Does that sound like it covers the issues we talked about, guys? Okay. Yeah, let's have our AG provide an opinion on that.
Okay. That's a good question. I have that in my notes.
It's not ever the big substantive stuff. Like, it's always these stupid little things that take a lot of time.
I have a question. So under, well, numbers, old numbers, 11-2014, for the delegation of administrative duties. So I think we had discussed changing it to, trying to change it, that issue about a majority of the members to which we're entitled.
So we actually, yeah, for maybe mark that down, because we actually, Robin and I enrolled part on this in the full meeting, spoke to Rep. Lowen and Senator Gabbard about it, and they proposed the bill. I think they've introduced a bill to deal with this issue, to change it to a majority of the members that have been appointed, rather than that the council is entitled to. Yeah. So once that passes, I think we can make our rules consistent with that. Well, assuming that passes, I should say. I don't know that it will.
Great. That's very helpful. And I guess actually, in terms of that section, if we no longer have the authority to make rules or appoint a hearing officer, does that whole subsection just get gutted?
You're looking at -4, section 4. I think we should put that back to the AG.
Okay.
Because like part B, right, which is rendering a decision, if we're still doing deck actions, we should be able to retain that. But yeah, maybe we get rid of C. We don't need hearing officers at all. And actually, I think A can stay. A can stay. Because you can delegate, accept the power to adopt, amend, or repeal rules. So
Okay.
that's fine. We can't delegate something we don't have anyways.
Okay. Okay, that's another good one to put to the AG. Perfect. That's kind of all I have. If anybody has any questions or thoughts about process or any other updates, on my end, now that this is top of mind, and if I can get my kids to stay in school for more than like 2 days at a time, I can jump on cleaning this up, and then maybe sending it to Onona. If you want to look through again before I send to the AG or not, or before I send to Jody.
I trust you.
Okay.
I have a busy couple of weeks coming up.
Yeah, me
Thanks.
too.
Yeah. And I think we're gonna have to probably start drafting testimony on the council side too for some bills we'll be following. So yeah, if you're comfortable, Mahina, but call me if there's questions for sure.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
For that. Yeah, so I'll clean it up. I'll send it to Jody,
Okay.
and then I will circulate it to our committee for the next meeting. And yeah, and post questions today in our council meeting.
Okay.
Hopefully
Thank you, Mahina.
Here, I'll show you guys Mala because I'm sitting at Mala right now. Can you see it?
Oh, it's pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been
But-
having real nice weather all over lately.
Yeah, but no surf and lots of tourists.
Lots of tourists.
Lots
Are
of
you,
tourists.
are you in Hilo, Nona?
No, I'm back in Honolulu. You can see my
Okay.
messy apartment. I got to go into the office. Yeah, I came back last night. So
Okay.
I don't know. I really am liking Hilo. Might be making the full-time transition sooner than I was thinking.
Oh,
So we'll see. But yeah, still, it's hard. It's hard to fully move. So I'm pretty much like
No,
back and forth every week. Huh?
once you move, it's great.
Yeah.
It's just when you fly to Honolulu, it's harder.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was thinking I would just stay here more, but yeah, I mean, it's nice. I guess I got a lot older a lot quicker than I thought it would be. I mean, I just don't like being around too many people now.
Yeah.
It really is so crowded now that I've been spending more time back in Hilo. I didn't think that was going to hit me for like another 10 years, but it's in there.
I love big.
Yeah.
I like Hawaii. I like all islands.
Oh, islands. Yeah.
Yeah.
They all have their merits.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Okay, kids. I guess I'll see some of you at, maybe just on out at noon, right?
Yeah. See you at noon. I'm going to go to my office so I don't have my messy background. This meeting was
yeah,
early.
I'll be my car.
Okay. Enjoy your surf, Dawn. Thanks,
No,
Mahina.
sir.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Hey, guys.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Les.
Bye.
Okay.